Time is the most valuable resource we possess because it is the one thing we can never earn back. Money can be regained, opportunities can return, but once a moment passes, it is gone forever. Every person, regardless of status or ability, receives the same 24 hours each day. The difference between those who succeed and those who struggle is not talent or luck, but how they choose to use those hours. Spending time wisely is not about being busy, it is about being intentional. Many people fill their days with activity yet move nowhere. They rush from task to task, responding to demands, distractions, and expectations, believing that effort alone will lead to success. Movement without direction only leads to exhaustion. Wise use of time begins with clarity. When you know what truly matters, your time naturally follows. Without clarity, time is scattered and energy is wasted on things that do not serve growth. One of the greatest mistakes people make is waiting for motivation before taking action. Motivation is unstable. It rises and falls with emotion and circumstance. If action depends on motivation, progress becomes inconsistent. Discipline, not motivation, is what protects your time. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you do not feel like it. It removes daily debate and replaces it with commitment. When discipline is present, time is no longer negotiated, it is directed. Another key to spending time wisely is mastering the mind. A distracted mind wastes more time than a busy schedule. Many hours are lost not because there is too much to do, but because attention is divided. When the mind jumps constantly between thoughts, worries, and distractions, even simple tasks take longer. Focus turns time into progress. When you give full attention to one task, time works for you instead of against you. Small, consistent actions are more powerful than occasional intense effort. Success is rarely the result of a single breakthrough. It is built through daily habits that compound over time. Reading a few pages, practicing a skill, improving slightly each day may seem insignificant, but when repeated consistently, these actions create extraordinary results. Wise time use is not about doing more, but about doing what matters regularly. Equally important is removing what drains your time and energy. Not everything deserves your attention. Constant distractions, unhealthy habits, negative thinking, and unnecessary commitments quietly steal your hours. Learning to say no is not selfish, it is strategic. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something meaningful. When you protect your time, you protect your future. Spending time wisely also means aligning your actions with purpose. When time is disconnected from purpose, even productivity feels empty. Purpose gives direction to effort. It turns work into progress and routine into growth. When you understand why you are doing something, resistance weakens and consistency strengthens. Time spent with purpose builds fulfillment, not just results. Rest is also a wise investment of time. Many people believe success requires constant effort. Exhaustion leads to poor decisions and wasted energy. Rest restores clarity and strength. It allows you to return to your work with focus and intention. Rest is not a reward for finishing work. It is a requirement for doing meaningful work well. Another important aspect of wise time use is reflection. Without reflection, days repeat without improvement. Taking time to review how you spent your day reveals your true priorities. It shows what moved you forward and what held you back. This awareness allows correction and growth. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Time does not need to be managed as much as priorities do. When priorities are clear, time naturally organizes itself. When priorities are weak, time slips away. Success does not come from having more time, but from respecting the time you already have. Each moment is an opportunity to choose growth over comfort, discipline over excuse, and purpose over distraction. Your future is not created in dramatic moments, but in ordinary hours used well. Every day, you are investing time into something, whether consciously or unconsciously. What you invest in consistently is what you will become. When you learn to spend your time wisely, you are not just managing hours, you are shaping your life and your success. Time reveals priorities more honestly than words ever can. People often speak about what matters to them. It is their daily use of time that exposes the truth. Time is neutral, silent and constant, yet it acts like a mirror. It reflects what we value, what we fear, and what we avoid. Everyone is given the same 24 hours each day, regardless of talent, background, or ambition. The difference in outcomes does not come from having more time, but from how that time is invested. What we consistently give our hours to slowly shapes our character, direction, and future. When something is truly important to a person, is naturally allocated to it. A person who values growth finds time to learn. A person who values health finds time to move and rest. A person who values success finds time to improve skills and work with focus. On the other hand, when goals remain unfulfilled, it is often not due to lack of opportunity but due to misplaced time. Many people claim they want success, peace, or improvement, yet most of their time is spent on distractions, comfort, or avoidance. Time exposes this gap between intention and action without judgment. Time also reveals priorities through repetition. A single day may not define a person, but repeated days create a pattern. Patterns do not lie. If weeks and months are filled with procrastination, entertainment, or excuses, then those things have become priorities, even if unintentionally. Time spent repeatedly on something signals importance, whether conscious or unconscious. This is why self-observation is crucial. By looking honestly at where time goes each day, one can understand what truly governs their life. Many people struggle because their stated priorities conflict with their lived priorities. They may desire discipline, but prioritize comfort. They may desire achievement, but prioritize ease. This inner conflict creates frustration. Time becomes a source of regret rather than progress. When priorities are unclear, time is scattered. When priorities are clear, time becomes focused. Clarity simplifies decisions. When something aligns with true priorities, time is made for it. When it does not, it is let go. Time also reveals priorities during difficulty. When life becomes challenging, what a person chooses to spend time on shows what they rely on. Some invest time in growth and problem solving, while others escape into distractions. Pressure strips away pretenses. In moments of stress, habits take over, and habits are formed by repeated use of time. This is why disciplined use of time during calm periods determines strength during difficult ones. Another truth about time is that it magnifies small choices. A few minutes wasted may seem insignificant, but repeated daily, it becomes years lost. Similarly, a small daily investment compounds into meaningful results. Time rewards consistency, not intensity. Priorities are not proven by rare bursts of effort, but by steady commitment. Even when motivation fades, priorities remain visible through continued action. Time also reveals priorities through what is postponed. What is constantly delayed is silently deemed unimportant. Later, often becomes a hiding place for fear or lack of commitment. If something truly matters, it moves closer to the present. Delaying important actions while attending to trivial ones shows confusion in values. Time exposes this imbalance clearly. When people begin to bring important tasks forward and push distractions aside, priorities begin to align with their goals. Awareness of time use can be uncomfortable because it removes excuses. It is easier to say there is no time than to admit there is no priority. Time does not disappear. It is always exchanged. Every yes is a no to something else. Recognizing this forces responsibility. Once a person understands that time is always being spent, they gain the power to choose more deliberately. True change begins when someone decides to treat time with respect. Respecting time does not mean filling every moment with work. It means using time intentionally, whether for effort, rest, reflection, or connection. Rest can also be a priority when used wisely. The key is intention. Mindless time use leads to regret, while mindful time use leads to alignment. As priorities become clearer, time naturally reorganizes itself. Distractions lose their grip, focus increases. Life feels less rushed and more directed. The external schedule may not change much. The internal relationship with time does. Time becomes a tool rather than an enemy. Each day becomes an opportunity to reinforce what truly matters. In the end, time does not need to be managed as much as priorities do. When priorities are strong, time follows naturally. When priorities are weak, time slips away. Observing how time is spent is one of the most honest forms of self-knowledge. It shows not who we wish to be, who we are becoming through daily choices, repeated actions, and silent commitments made hour by hour. Discipline over motivation is a principle that separates temporary effort from lasting achievement. Motivation is often celebrated because it feels powerful and inspiring, but it is also unstable. It rises when conditions are comfortable and fades when resistance appears. Discipline, on the other hand, is quiet and steady. It does not depend on mood, excitement, or external encouragement. It is the ability to act according to commitment rather than feeling, and this ability determines whether progress continues or stops. Motivation usually comes from emotion. It may be triggered by a speech, a goal, or a sudden desire for change. While this initial spark can be useful, it is not reliable. Emotions fluctuate throughout the day, influenced by fatigue, stress, and environment. When action depends on motivation, effort becomes inconsistent. Some days feel productive, others feel empty, and momentum is constantly lost. Discipline replaces this emotional dependency with structure. It creates a system where action happens regardless of how one feels. Discipline begins with decision. It is the choice to show up even when the mind resists. This resistance is natural. The mind seeks comfort and avoids effort. Discipline does not fight the mind with force. It guides it with routine. When an action is repeated daily at the same time, the mind slowly accepts it as normal. What once required motivation becomes automatic. This is how discipline conserves energy while motivation consumes it. One of the greatest misconceptions is that disciplined people are always strong or driven. In reality, discipline exists precisely because strength and drive are inconsistent. Discipline acts as a bridge during moments of weakness. On days when energy is low or confidence is absent, discipline carries the work forward. It removes the need to debate with oneself. The decision has already been made and the body follows. Motivation often focuses on the end result, while discipline focuses on the process. Motivation imagines success and feels excited by it. Discipline focuses on the next small step and completes it without drama. This difference is critical. Success is not built by thinking about outcomes, but by repeating actions. Discipline narrows attention to what can be done now. By doing so, it builds progress quietly and continuously. Another advantage of discipline is that it builds self-trust. Each time a person keeps a promise to themselves, confidence grows. This confidence is not based on words or intentions, but on evidence. Over time, the identity shifts. Instead of seeing oneself as someone who tries, one becomes someone who does. Motivation may inspire belief, but discipline creates proof. Discipline also protects against external distractions. In a world full of constant stimulation, waiting for motivation often means waiting forever. Discipline creates boundaries. It sets clear times for work, rest, and reflection. These boundaries reduce decision fatigue and prevent time from being consumed by impulse. When discipline is present, distractions lose their power because priorities are already defined. Many people fear discipline because they associate it with punishment or rigidity. In truth, discipline is a form of self-respect. It is choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. It does not remove freedom, it creates it. By mastering daily actions, one gains control over direction. Without discipline, time controls the person. With discipline, the person directs time. Discipline also develops resilience. When challenges arise, disciplined individuals do not stop, they adjust. They understand that difficulty is part of the process. Motivation tends to collapse under pressure, while discipline adapts. This adaptability allows consistent progress even when circumstances are unfavorable. Over time, this resilience becomes a defining strength. Another key aspect of discipline is simplicity. It does not require grand plans or extreme effort. It requires consistency. Even small disciplined actions repeated daily accumulate into significant change. This accumulation is invisible in the beginning, which is why motivation often fades. Discipline continues regardless of visible results, trusts the process rather than demanding immediate reward. Discipline also teaches patience. It shifts focus away from instant gratification and toward long-term development. In doing so, it aligns effort with reality. Most meaningful achievements take time. Discipline accepts this truth and works within it. Motivation often resists this reality, seeking quick wins and dramatic change. When discipline becomes a habit, life becomes more stable. Emotional highs and lows lose control over behavior. Progress becomes predictable. This predictability creates calm and confidence. There is no need to wait for the right mood or perfect moment. Action happens because it has been scheduled and practiced. Discipline does not eliminate motivation, it makes motivation unnecessary. When discipline is strong, motivation becomes a bonus rather than a requirement. On motivated days, work feels easier. On unmotivated days, work still happens. Balance ensures continuity. Over time, results appear, and these results may bring motivation back naturally. But the foundation remains discipline. Ultimately, discipline is not about forcing oneself endlessly. It is about aligning actions with values and maintaining that alignment through consistent effort. It is the practice of honoring commitments regardless of emotional state. While motivation may start the journey, only discipline sustains it, shaping effort into progress, intention into action, and potential into reality. Mastering the mind before the clock means understanding that time is not the greatest challenge to productivity, focus, or success. The real challenge lies in the way the mind responds to time, pressure, and distraction. Many people believe they lack time, but in reality, they lack mental clarity and control. A restless, unfocused mind can waste hours in minutes, while a calm and directed mind can accomplish meaningful work in limited time. Until the mind is trained, no schedule, plan, or routine will truly be effective. The mind naturally seeks stimulation and avoids discomfort. Tendency causes attention to drift from one thought to another, from one task to the next, without completion. When the mind is uncontrolled, time becomes fragmented. Even when hours are available, they are scattered across distractions, worries, and impulses. This creates the illusion of business without progress. Mastering time under these conditions becomes impossible because the mind itself is resisting focus. Before managing the clock, one must learn to manage attention. Attention is the gateway through which time is used. Where attention goes, energy follows. When attention is divided, energy is diluted. A person may sit in front of work for hours, yet achieve little because the mind is elsewhere. Training attention means choosing one task and staying with it even when boredom or resistance arises. Ability transforms how time is experienced and used. Mental clarity begins with awareness. Many distractions are not external but internal. Thoughts about the past, worries about the future, and constant self-judgment consume mental space. These thoughts pull attention away from the present moment where action actually happens. When the mind is cluttered, even simple tasks feel heavy. Clearing the mind does not mean eliminating thoughts, but learning not to follow every thought. This discipline allows the mind to remain anchored to the task at hand. Another aspect of mastering the mind is regulating emotion. Emotions strongly influence how time is perceived. Stress makes time feel scarce, while calm expands it. When emotions are unmanaged, urgency increases, mistakes multiply, and focus weakens. By learning to observe emotions without reacting impulsively, one creates mental space. This space allows deliberate action rather than rushed behavior. Time then becomes something to work with, not against. Many people attempt to control time by filling schedules and setting deadlines, yet neglect the state of mind required to follow them. Without mental readiness, schedules become sources of pressure rather than guidance. A disciplined mind approaches time with intention. It understands when to push and when to pause. It recognizes that rest is not wasted time when it restores clarity and energy. This balance cannot be achieved through planning alone. It requires self-awareness. Mastering the mind also involves simplifying focus. The modern environment constantly competes for attention. Notifications, information, and demands create mental noise. A trained mind learns to filter this noise. It chooses what deserves attention and what does not. This choice is not based on urgency but on importance. When the mind is clear about priorities, time is naturally allocated more effectively. Another key element is patience. An untrained mind seeks immediate results and becomes frustrated when progress is slow. Frustration leads to avoidance or distraction. A trained mind accepts gradual progress and remains steady. It understands that meaningful work requires sustained attention over time. This patience prevents the constant switching of tasks that wastes hours and fragments effort. Mastering the mind also means understanding personal rhythms. Energy levels rise and fall throughout the day. A mindful person observes these patterns and aligns demanding tasks with periods of high mental clarity. This alignment maximizes effectiveness without extending working hours. When the mind is ignored, effort is applied at the wrong times, leading to exhaustion and inefficiency. Self-talk plays a powerful role in how the mind experiences time. Negative inner dialogue creates pressure and resistance. Thoughts like feeling behind or not having enough time increase anxiety and reduce focus. A trained mind uses language that supports calm action. It focuses on what can be done now rather than what remains undone. This shift in perspective changes how time feels and how it is used. Mastery of the mind also involves letting go of perfectionism. An untrained mind delays action while waiting for ideal conditions. This waiting wastes time. A trained mind values progress over perfection. It begins before feeling ready and adjusts along the way. This willingness to act reduces mental friction and keeps momentum moving. Ultimately, time is only a container. What fills it is determined by the quality of attention brought to each moment. When the mind is scattered, time is drained. When the mind is steady, time becomes sufficient. Training the mind is not a one-time effort but a daily practice of awareness, focus, and restraint. By mastering the inner world first, the external schedule becomes easier to navigate. Decisions become clearer. Each moment is used with greater intention and effectiveness. Small, consistent actions compound in ways that are often invisible at first, but powerful over time. Most people underestimate the effect of small efforts because they expect immediate results. When progress is not visible, motivation fades and action stops. Yet meaningful change rarely happens through sudden breakthroughs. It is built quietly through repeated actions that seem insignificant on their own. Each small step contributes to a larger outcome, shaping habits, skills, and character gradually. Consistency is more important than intensity. A single day of extreme effort may feel productive. It does not create lasting change. Small actions performed daily create stability and momentum. Reduce resistance because they do not overwhelm the mind or body. When an action feels manageable, it is more likely to be repeated. Repetition turns action into habit, and habit turns effort into identity. Compounding works because time multiplies effort. Just as money grows through interest, behavior grows through repetition. Each time an action is repeated, it strengthens neural pathways in the brain. This makes the action easier to perform the next time. What once required conscious effort eventually becomes automatic. This automation frees mental energy for higher level thinking and creativity. Small actions become the foundation upon which larger achievements are built. The early stages of compounding often feel unrewarding. Results are slow and subtle. This is the point where many people quit, believing their efforts are ineffective. In reality, progress is accumulating beneath the surface, like roots growing underground before a tree becomes visible. Small actions prepare the conditions for visible change. Those who understand this process remain patient and committed. Small, consistent actions also build trust with oneself. Each completed action, no matter how minor, reinforces the belief that progress is possible. This belief encourages further action. Over time, self-doubt weakens and confidence grows. This confidence is grounded in evidence rather than optimism. It comes from showing up repeatedly and honoring commitments. Another benefit of small actions is their adaptability. They can be adjusted without disrupting momentum. If conditions change or obstacles appear, small habits can be modified rather than abandoned. This flexibility allows progress to continue even during challenging periods. Large, rigid plans often collapse under pressure, while small habits endure. Consistency also reduces decision fatigue. When actions are habitual, fewer decisions are required. The mind is not forced to negotiate or debate each time. This saves mental energy and increases reliability. The less energy spent deciding, the more energy remains for execution. Over time, this efficiency becomes a significant advantage. Compounding also applies to skill development. Skills are not built in a single practice session, but through repeated exposure and refinement. Each practice builds upon the previous one. Mistakes become feedback rather than failure. Gradual improvement leads to mastery. This process cannot be rushed, but it can be trusted. Small actions influence mindset as well. Repeated positive behaviors shift perception and attitude. A person who consistently takes small steps begins to see challenges as manageable rather than overwhelming. This mindset encourages resilience. When setbacks occur, the habit of action remains, preventing stagnation. Another powerful aspect of compounding is that it works in both directions. Positive habits compound into growth, while negative habits compound into decline. Small choices repeated daily shape long-term outcomes. Awareness of this fact brings responsibility. Every action, however minor, is a vote for the type of person one is becoming. Environment plays a role in supporting consistency. When surroundings are designed to encourage small actions, repetition becomes easier. Simple cues, reminders, and routines reduce friction. This design does not require willpower, only intention. Over time, the environment itself reinforces progress. Patience is essential to benefit from compounding. The gap between effort and reward can be long. This gap tests commitment. Those who persist through it develop endurance and discipline. They learn to value the process rather than chase immediate results. Shift in focus allows compounding to work fully. Small consistent actions also create momentum. Each action makes the next one easier. Momentum reduces the need for motivation. Progress continues even on low energy days. This continuity is what transforms effort into outcome. Compounding is not dramatic, but it is reliable. It does not depend on talent or luck. It depends on repetition and time. Anyone willing to take small steps consistently can benefit from it. The key is not doing more, but doing enough every day without interruption. Over time, the accumulation of small actions leads to significant change. What once seemed impossible becomes normal. Person who persists hardly notices the transformation as it happens, yet eventually looks back and realizes how far they have come, all because they trusted the power of small actions repeated consistently over time. Removing what drains your energy is essential for clarity, focus, and sustainable progress. Energy is limited, and unlike time, it cannot be stored or recovered once wasted. Many people attempt to improve their lives by adding more tasks, habits, and goals without first examining what is quietly depleting them. Growth does not always require doing more. Often it requires letting go. Identifying and removing energy drains creates space for strength, attention, and purposeful action. Energy drains exist in many forms. Some are obvious, such as unhealthy routines or lack of rest. Others are subtle, such as negative thought patterns, unresolved conflicts, or constant comparison. These hidden drains consume mental and emotional resources without producing value. Over time, create fatigue that no amount of motivation can overcome. Recognizing these drains requires honesty and self-awareness. One of the most common energy drains is unnecessary mental clutter. Replaying past mistakes, worrying about future outcomes, and engaging in constant self-criticism exhaust the mind. These thoughts feel active, but they do not lead to resolution or progress. They keep attention trapped in loops, preventing presence and effective action. Learning to interrupt these patterns and redirect focus restores mental energy. Another major drain is overcommitment. Saying yes too often, especially to things that do not align with priorities, spreads energy thin. Each commitment carries a cost, even if it seems small. When obligations accumulate without intention, they lead to stress and resentment. Removing or reducing non-essential commitments allows energy to be concentrated where it matters most. Digital distraction is another powerful drain. Constant notifications, scrolling, information overload fragment attention and fatigue the brain. Even brief interruptions require time to recover focus. Over the course of a day, these interruptions add up, leaving the mind tired without having accomplished meaningful work. Creating boundaries around technology preserves cognitive energy. Relationships also influence energy levels. Interactions that are consistently negative, draining, or unbalanced can leave a person feeling depleted. This does not mean avoiding all difficult conversations, but it does mean recognizing patterns that consistently harm well-being. Setting boundaries is not an act of rejection, but of self-preservation. Healthy relationships support growth rather than consume strength. Physical energy is closely tied to daily habits. Poor sleep, irregular eating, and lack of movement gradually weaken the body. This physical fatigue then affects mental and emotional resilience. Removing habits that compromise physical health is not about restriction, about restoring balance. Small changes in routine can significantly improve energy levels. Another subtle drain is perfectionism. Constant demand for flawless performance creates tension and delay. It turns simple tasks into sources of stress. Perfectionism consumes energy through overthinking and self-doubt. Letting go of unrealistic standards allows progress to flow more naturally and frees energy for creativity and learning. Clutter in the physical environment also impacts energy. Disorganized spaces create visual noise, which the brain must process constantly. This low-level processing drains attention over time. Simplifying surroundings reduces mental load and creates a sense of calm. Order in the environment supports order in the mind. Emotional avoidance can also be draining. Suppressing feelings or avoiding necessary decisions keeps unresolved issues active in the background. This hidden tension consumes energy continuously. Addressing issues directly, even when uncomfortable, often releases more energy than it costs. Clarity replaces tension. Another drain is lack of purpose. When actions are not connected to meaningful goals, energy dissipates quickly. Effort feels heavy and unrewarding. Clarifying values and aligning actions with them provides direction. Energy flows more freely when effort feels meaningful. Removing energy drains requires ongoing attention. What drains energy can change over time. Regular reflection helps identify new patterns of depletion. This process is not about achieving a perfect state, but about maintaining balance. Each removal creates space for renewal. Letting go can be difficult because some drains are familiar or comfortable. They may offer temporary relief or distraction. However, comfort that leads to exhaustion is costly. Choosing long-term vitality over short-term comfort is an act of self-respect. As energy drains are removed, capacity increases, focus sharpens, decisions become clearer. Progress feels lighter. Energy becomes available for growth rather than survival. This availability allows consistent effort without burnout. Removing what drains energy is not about eliminating all challenges. Challenges can strengthen and motivate. Drains, however, weaken and distract. Learning the difference empowers better choices. By protecting energy, one protects the ability to act, to grow, and to remain resilient in the face of demands and change. Aligning time with purpose means ensuring that daily actions reflect deeper values and long-term direction rather than impulse or convenience. Time moves continuously, whether or not it is used with intention. When time is disconnected from purpose, days become busy but unfulfilling. Effort is spent, yet progress feels unclear. Purpose gives time meaning, turning routine actions into steps towards something larger. Purpose begins with clarity. Without understanding what truly matters, time is easily consumed by urgency, expectation, and distraction. Many people live according to external demands, allowing schedules to be shaped by others. This leads to constant reaction instead of deliberate action. Clarifying purpose provides a filter through which choices are made. When purpose is clear, it becomes easier to decide what deserves time and what does not. Time aligned with purpose creates focus. Instead of spreading attention across many tasks, effort is concentrated on what supports growth and direction. This focus reduces stress because the mind is no longer pulled in conflicting directions. Even when the workload is heavy, it feels manageable because it serves a meaningful aim. Purpose does not remove effort, it gives effort direction. Misalignment between time and purpose often shows up as dissatisfaction. A person may be productive yet feel empty. This feeling is a signal that time is being spent on activities that do not resonate with values. Listening to this signal requires honesty. It may reveal the need for change, adjustment, or boundaries. Ignoring it leads to long-term frustration. Aligning time with purpose also requires prioritization. Not all tasks carry equal weight. Some contribute directly to growth, while others merely maintain comfort or appearance. Purpose helps distinguish between the essential and the optional. By placing important tasks first, time is used proactively rather than reactively. This proactive approach builds momentum and confidence. Another aspect of alignment is intention. Purpose is not only about large goals, but about how moments are lived. Even simple actions can be purposeful when done with awareness. Working, resting, learning, and connecting all serve purpose when chosen consciously. This transforms the experience of time from something to escape into something to engage with. Alignment also demands the courage to say no. Time is finite, and every commitment carries an opportunity cost. Saying yes to everything dilutes effort and weakens focus. Purpose provides justification for refusal. It allows a person to protect time without guilt. Boundaries become expressions of commitment rather than rejection. Time aligned with purpose encourages consistency. When actions are meaningful, resistance decreases. Effort feels less forced because it is internally motivated. This internal motivation sustains long-term commitment better than external pressure. Over time, consistent action reinforces purpose, creating a reinforcing cycle. Another important element is reflection. Regular reflection helps ensure that time remains aligned. Goals evolve, and so does purpose. Without reflection, habits may continue long after they stop serving growth. Reviewing how time is spent allows for adjustment and renewal. Reflection turns experience into learning. Alignment also affects energy. Purposeful time use feels energizing rather than draining. Even when tasks are challenging, they feel worthwhile. This sense of meaning reduces burnout and increases resilience. Energy is preserved because effort is not wasted on activities that conflict with values. Distractions often pull time away from purpose. These distractions may appear harmless, but repeated often, they reshape direction. Purpose acts as an anchor, bringing attention back when it drifts. Each return strengthens self-discipline and awareness. Aligning time with purpose also shapes identity. Repeated actions form habits, and habits form character. When time consistently supports purpose, identity gradually aligns with values. Alignment creates integrity, reducing inner conflict. Life feels more coherent and grounded. External success without alignment often leads to emptiness. Internal alignment, even without visible success, brings peace. When time reflects purpose, satisfaction comes from effort itself, not just outcomes. This satisfaction sustains motivation through uncertainty. Purpose does not need to be grand or fixed. It can be simple and evolving. What matters is sincerity. Time responds to sincerity by becoming more focused and meaningful. Each day becomes an opportunity to practice alignment through small choices. When time is aligned with purpose, life feels intentional. Actions connect to values, effort connects to direction, and days connect to a larger journey. This alignment transforms time from something that slips away into something that builds a life of meaning, clarity, and deliberate progress.